Welcome back to The Shortcut. Coming to you can't laugh at this point.
I got it together.
Coming to you from the amazing and intense world of med school at the University of Iowa, Carver College of Medicine. I'm Dave Edler, and we're continuing our sesh. See how cool I am?
Oh yeah, so hip.
Might be old, but I'm not uncool.
Not that old.
What's really uncool is when you comment on it.
Oh.
We're continuing our sesh with Chris Rowling, our financial aid guru, about how students in med schools are responding to recent changes in financial aid. Chris, once again, thank you for coming.
Good to be here.
Of course, we're joined by my medical student co-hosts like M1 Anna Royer,
Hello.
M1 Isa Perez Sandy,
Hello.
and M2 Maria Schopfel.
Hi.
Chris, you're sort of plugged in, I think, a little bit to the Financial Aid Guru Network, the shady underbelly. No, I'm just, the cabal. What have you heard about how medical schools are thinking about responding to the changes?
So I actually am part of a monthly, what they call virtual coffee talk, where we get together and kind of discuss issues. You know, it's always been kind of a how are you doing session. And the last few times it's been a very educational. I know a lot of schools are meeting with the private loan lenders because that's going to be kind of the new, one of the new options. So we're meeting with them, kind of seeing our options. We're trying to communicate with them what we want in a this is what our students would need. This is what would be attractive to them. But I know we're, doing that. Everyone's looking at scholarships to see if there's abilities to, offset some of their need for plus loans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you meant this sort of predates this whole deal, but John Hopkins, as we said in the last show, they got a $1.1 billion gift to cover full tuition for families under $300,000. So 2/3 of its med students will now pay zero tuition. I think I said 3/4 on the last time I mentioned it, but and I think that while that predates this whole deal, schools are going to be looking for donors, basically.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they find them.
We had a scholarship luncheon, and one of the guest speakers, their words really resonated with me. They told the donors that your donations have gone from greatly appreciated to vital.
Yeah.
Which is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Still greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
But definitely vital for a lot of students that might not have the option to attend otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I also think too, almost the type of student that probably needs the loans the most is the type of student that I think med school should really be fighting to keep. Especially in Iowa, anybody from a really rural area, I feel like rural health in Iowa is shit. If you want someone to go back into rural health, I'm not from Iowa. I'm not from a rural area. I will not be going into rural health because I did not grow up in that environment. And I think that's an area where if you grew up, you're more likely to go into rural health. And if you want rural doctors in Iowa, I do think you need to pull in those types of students.
Absolutely.
So.
From the AAMC says 1/4 to 1/3 of medical students come from families in the top 5% of income, which, the other side of that is, the other 2/3 don't. And so they have varying levels of insulation from price shock, basically. So I think what you're saying is, we need the low income folks too to be in medicine.
Yeah.
Not just
the people that
can, easily afford it, or the children of doctors,
which that is not a guarantee, right? That they're in the top whatever percent, but
no,
there is still
more of an increased chance, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, when you meet with, you do these exit interviews with students, do they ever talk about how debt influences their career choices?
They really don't mention it because at that point they've already made their choice.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with them after match day. They know what they're doing, where they're going. So they don't really talk about it, but I know that money is going to play a decision in there, even though I don't really want it to play a decision in there. I want them to be where they're happy, where they're going to be successful. But I'm sure that if you have $300,000 of debt, you might steer towards a specialized.
It's kind of hard to ignore
Yeah.
the higher pay income bracket.
Yeah. But they don't really discuss it with me, but I know that it's on their mind.
Yeah. There's a physician shortage that everybody's always talking about. 54,000, between 54,000 and 139,000 doctors will be short by 2033 is the AAMC's projection.
That is not even that far away.
Particularly in primary
Like
care
my-
and psychiatry.
Psychiatry.
Or, you know, yeah.
We had this I guess little snippet of class too that was like, as the baby boomers get older, that's a huge population, and that's also a huge population that will need really not complicated, but like that will need almost
more
a higher
care.
level of
Yeah.
care, which I thought was really interesting because like that's they're called baby boomers for a reason, right? Like it's a boom in the population, so
It's a
I thought that
large
was
group,
interesting.
large group of people
Yeah,
who are gonna
Right.
need y'all.
right. And like if you're going to pediatrics, like you're not going to see them, but probably most other people will in some kind of facet, no matter what you go into.
I don't want to pigeonhole you because I know things might change, but what are you guys thinking about for career?
No idea.
If money was no object, and if you had your druthers, what feels good to you right now?
Not family med, but that is based off of where I want to live in the future.
Mhm.
And
Say more.
well, I'm from like suburban Massachusetts, like very close to Boston, which you know.
Yeah.
And I would love to go back to Massachusetts.
They need family docs.
Yeah, but I think being a family doc in like urban suburban area is not the same as being a family doc in a rural area. I think rural family docs actually sound like a really, really fascinating field. But since I have no desire to live in a rural place, I think that like I will not go into that just because especially in Massachusetts, I feel like a lot of family docs are like, all right, you're good. And then like if you have a problem, they refer you.
So you're saying that in a rural environment, you're more likely to do more interesting and
Correct.
different things
Yeah.
than you would in. Yeah, okay.
I mean, like, I don't know for sure because I haven't like seen it in real life yet, but kind of what.
Well, you
my,
hear
like-
things.
Yeah. But I think if I was interested in going to a rural area, like if I grew up in a rural area, I think, and I wanted to go back to that environment, like I think that would actually be a really interesting career path to go down. But.
Do you guys thinking anything in particular?
Or not thinking anything.
You
Sometimes
M1.
that's easier.
Oh, yeah, actually, it's a good point. Yeah. Wait, have you ruled anything out?
I don't know that I've ruled anything out. I'm interested in like pediatrics or pathology. Those have been the two that have just like really rung or like resonated with me so far.
The
But
pathologists are like really, really into teaching here.
yeah,
You haven't really had a lot yet, but like.
I look forward to it. But yeah, just both of those careers just seem appealing to me.
I think I'd like pathology if I wasn't colorblind.
Oh no.
But people do pathology and they're colorblind.
I'm sure they do. I just don't know how it works.
We have a kid in our class who's colorblind, and I remember him saying after one exam, he was like, "This one was just darker than the other one," so I thought it must be that. That must be so hard to tell.
We're in a histology unit right now, and it's literally all like, this color is different than this color, like this shape. And like, yeah, I didn't think about if you're colorblind, like, what are you looking at? Like, how do you tell?
But even
Yeah.
if you're not colorblind, you guys will hear this like in the spring and also in the fall. Basically, if it's like a pediatric cancer, you're gonna see these like small round blue cells is what they call them. Like anything pediatrics is largely small rounded blue. You look at them, they are not blue. They're small, they're roundish, but they are fully purple. I don't know where they get blue
Those
from. I know. They also use all
What?
these descriptive words. Chicken wire actually is good, but like small round blue, those cells are not blue. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
They just make up words. Sorry.
No, you're
Go
good.
ahead.
Did you have any more to add about like path or?
Oh no, I was gonna say I haven't like ruled anything out, but I have, or like anything specific out, but I have ruled out any specialty that takes like 10 years to train for.
Sure.
That's
Like
fair.
I don't
Yeah.
see that for myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
You like school, but not that much.
Yeah, that's a good way to summarize it.
For me, I'm also I'm trying to be open-minded, but right now I feel very interested in emergency medicine. And I don't know if that's just because I watched The Pit twice or or also like I got my
I think it might be an indicator. I don't know.
I cried a couple times during that show. Like, I don't know, like there were some pretty impactful scenes in there that was like, dang, like I want to be a part of that. But I think a lot of the elements in that show you could find in a lot of specialties. So I'm not going to use that as my like indicator, but I also got my EMT certification this summer. And I want to find a way to use it. But that was just amazing. I loved that.
Why did you get your EMT certification just before coming to med school?
That's a really great question. A big reason actually
was
was
an uncomfortable question. We don't.
No, but like when I think about it, it sounds kind of dumb because you're like you just paid to do that, and now you're not even going to use it that much.
Hey, like
I learned a lot. Yeah. It was a big reason was because my sister, she's like a year or two younger than me. She also was going to do the class, and it was like a rapid 4-week thing. And I was like, dang, that'd be so cool for us to do it together. So we did. And
that's so cute.
It was awesome. Like we just did like fake scenarios on each other. Like, okay, so you just got hit by a car and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to act like I'm going to start saving your leg that's almost amputated. Like it was really fun.
That's so fun.
You guys were playing doctor as adults.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
With training.
Yeah, it all comes full circle. Like we did this when we were 8 and now we're doing it again as like 20, 22-year-old. Yeah, it's awesome.
Full circle.
Yeah. But, and then just to wrap up like my thoughts on specialties now, when I did do some shadowing in the ED, I talked to this like double board certified like emergency medicine and surgeon, and he was still practicing. He was like 75, but he was like doing great. Like he was so sharp and on top of it. But he was just sharing with me his predictions of like AI and how that will affect how that will affect which specialties are going to be more in demand. And so he was saying like you should totally just really think about specializing and not go think as much as into primary care. But I don't know if that's true at all, but that was his perspective, and it spooked me just a little bit.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that.
Getting back to our main subject, so one thing that some schools have been experimenting with over the past few years is these 3-year MD programs, often to reduce costs. I know earlier this year there was a bill in Iowa that directed us and the Des Moines University College of Osteopathic Medicine to study whether we could turn our 4-year program into a 3-year program. Although I think in Iowa's case, I don't know if it was as much about saving students money as it was about sort of addressing our shortage of physicians in the state.
I think it was that. It seems to be less
Like
about
push
the
us
money
through
saving
quicker.
and more of we need doctors.
Get out on the field.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out that that wasn't the initial impetus. It might, I don't know. How much do you think that would save students, Chris? Our students in particular.
Okay, so if you were someone who took out all the aid you were eligible, it could be an in-state student could save them $70,000 in just principal. An out-of-state could be like $92,000.
Oh.
Okay.
Because you're eliminating an entire year of school.
Yeah. And the other thing that you're not able to include in that is early salary gains. So, one of the things we talk about in like extending your time in med school is how much might it cost you in terms of a salary that you didn't have earlier. And I've read the AMA says that a 3-year degree instead of a 4-year degree saves about $250,000 in tuition and early salary gains combined. That sounds really high to me, but again, I don't know. Christine has to do the money for me, and my wife does the money. So I'm just cosplaying as somebody who knows things today. So I don't know. Something to think about anyway.
I feel like it's a really good option. I think a lot of med students enter not really knowing what they want to do. I think some people have like inklings, but I think the majority of people are like, I maybe want to do this, but like, I don't know. And I'll see once I start like rotating and like seeing everything. Yeah. I do think there are some people that really do know. And I think if you like really know you want to go into like more of the primary care specialties, like if you really want to go into family med, I would say internal medicine, but even then most people end up doing a fellowship after. So like, I don't know how much I really count that, but maybe pediatrics. I feel like, I don't know what the breakdown is, but a lot of people end up like doing fellowship. Also people stay. I kind of feel like in those realms, if you know that that's what you want to go into, I think it makes a lot of sense to explore. But also like if you're like, I want to be an ophthalmologist, I don't think that's reasonable to do in 3. Maybe it is, but
Yeah, you'd have to. I mean, you're going to continue your training after medical school, and so I don't know what that means.
It's almost like the more
like shifting
competitive specialty you want to go into. It's almost like I think you might just need more time in order to like prepare your application to be a good candidate for that, versus if you're in a less competitive specialty, which like are still needed and probably the most like important specialties, to be quite honest.
People get paid in fellowship, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's still not as much as you would.
Well, I think what is really impressive about Iowa is like they were able to condense their didactic portion to like 1.5 years rather than 2. So I feel like, you know, if we can even just like condense the classroom portion and save a semester, like
I think what schools end up doing, because I was actually reading about this like a couple weeks ago, because I think NYU has I was reading about NYU's program. What they do, at least the school that I was reading about, they shorten it into 3 years, but you don't have your first summer off. So it's almost like you do your first, and maybe not like 100% to the T, but like you do your first year plus the summer, and then I think you start like doing other stuff. But then it also like condenses like step 1 and step 2, which like, I don't know. I think there's kind of like pros, cons to everything.
Yeah.
But I do
for sure
think,
it would be an adjustment, but it's not an
Right.
impossible.
I don't think it's impossible. I do think what you do lose is the time in which like a lot of people do research in a lot of specialties when you apply.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, like some are like you really need research, others are like it's nice if you have research, but like we don't
Global
really care.
health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also the culture of med school would change.
Yeah.
I think shortening it means that there's less time to sort of develop the relationships with faculty and your fellow students and podcasters and so yeah, sometimes I wonder how it would change that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I sort of hate about the 18-month curriculum is that you guys disappear at
no, that's a valid point.
M1.5 and then I'm like, well, where are all my podcasters?
Yeah.
I want to say the 3-year programs are, and I don't know for sure, but I want to say if you do a 3-year program, it's kind of set what you can end up going into.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I
my
think-
understanding of that.
I think it's limited, which I actually think is like, it could be a real pro if you really know that that's what you want to go into. Or if you're between like peds and family med, like.
This came on my radar a few
Yeah.
years ago when I had a student trying to compare financial aid offers, and it was tough to go look at a 3-year versus a 4-year.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had much experience. And like I said, and the way they explained it to me is a 3-year program. You're committed to, let's say, primary care.
Yeah.
And they even had guaranteed residency,
Yeah.
which is,
Yes.
to me, it sounds really good. It's removing a lot of stress, but you are losing all flexibility. So I don't know how students would feel about that, but I feel like you're losing it. And I would hope that you've done a lot of job shadowing. Physician shadowing before you make that decision, because how many students walk in here thinking, oh, I want to do this, and then they do that rotation. They're like,
No,
nope.
I know.
Or they find something that they would have liked better.
Right. Or something they didn't know existed.
And I mean, you see that like with the PA program, they have to come in with like 1,000, 2,000 hours of clinical experience to really help inform them of like what they're going to do afterwards. But maybe the trade-off there would be that like I didn't even, and because I'm an M1, like I didn't even know that there was dual residencies like internal med and psych. Like I didn't even know that existed. So maybe like the availability of those programs could be really valuable.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
I think Chris and I were discussing the show yesterday, and you mentioned something about the regional effects that you have to take into account when you talk about 4-year versus 3-year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
You want
student.
to talk about that a
Yeah,
little?
the student I was talking with, I kind of compared, what we were offering as a scholarship versus what they were paying in tuition. And they did come a little bit cheaper. Now, their school was in Long Island.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about cost of living in Cedar Rapids versus Iowa City versus the cost of living on Long Island,
Okay.
you're definitely losing out there.
I will say though, I feel like people talk about cost of living. I feel like if you are in terms of like housing, it's significantly cheaper here. If you go out to eat here, it costs the exact same. So like not the exact same, but it's very similar.
yeah, like $15 for a meal. Like,
Right.
Well, there's other
And
costs too, though. Don't forget like childcare and
Parking.
This is
parking.
true. This is
and,
true.
Like I guess the point is understanding how a 3-year program versus a 4-year program is going to save you money or cost you money. It's you can't just look at the tuition.
It's all relative.
You have to really sort of do a deep dive into everything to decide to go, oh well, that's going to save me money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right. Hey, Chris, will you stick around for the next part of the show
Absolutely.
when we talk about news shit?
Definitely.
All right, Shortcoats, it's your turn. Thoughts on today's show, ideas for future episodes, questions for us about what we said today? Send everything our way at theshortcoat.com/tell us. Until next time, I'm Dave Etler saying, don't let the bastards get you down. Say bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.